Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of what we like to call the Tom Matt Show. I'm your host, Tom Matt. Imagine that. Wonder how that works. Okay. Last week, Ashton Henderson, athletics at MSU, state of state. Ashton Henderson's amazing. He's a deputy athletic director at Michigan State University in charge of many different things. And that's the way it goes at higher ed. It's just NIL, transfer portal, men's and women's sports, college sports, athletes, students. We talked about it all. You want to check those out. He's been on the show before several times. And, part of my love for the university and helping, promote what we do out at the Green Machine at Michigan State University. Today, sit back, get ready. I got a legend. I mean, we're talking serious legend here. Mr. Dave Lorenz. One of the first guys I ever got on radio that was like a big time radio guy when he was still with the Travel Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which he still is kind of sort of. We never really leave our careers, right? I mean, it's just one of those things. Dave Lorenz attended Western Michigan University and lives in Norton Shores with his wife, Roberta. He used to be the VP for Travel Michigan at MEDC, and we could go through all of that. His prior to Travel Michigan in 2002, dating him just a tad, manager of partnerships and promotions for Meyer. So he's been around. He knows things. I'm just going to leave it there. He's got tons of experience with radio. Many people are going to recognize this man's voice because he is Travel Michigan. He is Mr. Travel Michigan. I want to welcome back to the radio program for his 26th visit. Dang, my buddy from Norton Shores, Dr. Dave Lorenz. What's up, Doc?
Hey, how you doing? I'm feeling all of those 26, 27, 30, whatever they are, appearances over the years. And for anybody who might know my voice, you might be thinking, he's really sounding old. First off, yes, I am getting old, but mostly I'm just getting over this bug. It seems like everybody's getting this flu bug thing that's getting around. I hope you don't get it if you haven't had it yet. If you've had it, I hope you've recovered from it quickly. It's a nasty one, but I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And it's been about a year since I left Travel Michigan, MEDC, to retire. And it's taken me all this time, Tom, to finally get over the guilt of not working 24/7. So, and I'll tell you that was a transition. That was a real transition because when you're going 80 miles an hour all the time, I mean, literally 80 miles an hour too often, and you do that for dozens and dozens of years, just stopping is not a good idea. And I had decided that I was going to end at the end of the last year. And then January 1 of 23, my wife and I were going to go out there. We're going to go to Boyne and we're going to go to Crystal and Shanty Creek and treetops, and we're going to ski and all that stuff. And you might remember last winter, we had a horrible winter, no snow, horrible. So January and February, I basically sat around thinking, now what am I going to do? And I had already had something arranged. I'd already had a consulting gig arranged starting in April, but my intention was to take 3 months completely off, just relax, kind of recharge, get an idea of maybe a new style. And I just kind of picked the wrong time of the year to do that when I had planned to spend so much time in the snow. So at least this year, I just was outside earlier today, and it's a super snowy, cold day, and I love it because winter's my favorite time of the year. So anyway, life is good.
How much snow do you have now at Norton Shores? Just as we're recording this episode in the late January.
It's funny because we left this morning just to go to the dock, get a little test done. Came back a couple hours later, and there were about 5 more inches of snow on my driveway. And I don't know, because it's just been coming down like crazy. The snowplow guy is going to be very happy this year, but he's my nephew, so that's okay.
All right, so I've got a thought here. Dave Lorenz is our guest today, everybody. Dave is one of my validation radio guys who helped me, came on, didn't know me from Adam way back in the day, and just, he just kept telling me, just keep at it, just keep at it. And so we have. Now we're in our 14th season, thanks to people like Dave Lorenz, calling this one ReFirement for Dave. If you don't get the meaning of that, stick around because we're going to talk about why and how he's going to be refiring. Dave, what I decided to do, tell me if you like this. Of your 25 visits, you know, I title all of these different episodes different things. So I'm just going to go back through your file and find all these cool things about Michigan because we both, I mean, you know everything about Michigan. And we both love Michigan so much. It's like, okay, let's promote this state. Let's do good things. So the very first one that I pulled out is hidden gems.
Oh yeah.
And that was the last time you were on the show. And that was almost 2 years ago now, right before you refired from the state. So do you remember what we talked about? Because I've got the list here of the hidden gems, but I want to pick your brain on some of the hidden gems from Dave Lorenz. You got about 4 minutes to go in this segment, and then we'll come back. We'll keep having fun talks.
No, I don't remember at all.
Okay, here we go. First one, very first one you said was Pictured Rocks.
Oh, well, Pictured Rocks, of course, beautiful place, and that everybody should enjoy. Just a second, Tom. I'm being paged.
So now it's a second.
It happens with radio sometimes, everybody.
I'm going to the store.
It happens.
Okay. Just so you know, my wife's going to the store.
We'll carry this through. Mitch will probably fix it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Pictured
yeah,
Rocks.
okay. So Pictured Rocks. Yeah, the thing about Pictured Rocks is any time of the year, it's a great place. And you may not think about it as a hidden gem, obviously, because it is one of the best known places in the state to travel any time of the year. But here it is wintertime. We were just talking about all the snow. People generally don't go to places like Pictured Rocks or Tequamanon Falls or Bond Falls in the wintertime. And that's a huge mistake because, or let's have another one, Kitchity Kippy, all in the UP up there. Well, these are spectacular winter, I would call it paradise scenes that are very uniquely Michigan, beautiful, and they're all very different from each other. Very different. Interesting, natural, almost phenomena. But most people go when it's warm and comfortable and it's beautiful at that time of the year. But this time of the year, when you go to a place like Pictured Rocks, quite often you might be going on a snowmobile. And then when you get in there, you get up close to those cliffs, you get off your snowmobile, turn it off, let the silence kind of, come into your brain because of all that. And then, walk up toward the cliff and you see Lake Superior, especially on one of those blue sky winter days when the sunshine is just shining off the lake. And you'll see some ice cover for a while. Depending on where you are, you might see some ice climbers climbing up the frozen waterfalls that cascade over the cliffs of Pictured Rocks. Spectacularly beautiful. It's a scene that you'll never forget in your life, and you'll always think of it as one of your best days. I actually had a friend of mine. Actually, I just heard from him today. Strangely enough, he was a travel writer. I think he's retired now, but he's down in Carolinas. I think he's somewhere down south. He's got a great Southern accent. He had never really been in snow before we brought him up to the Pictured Rocks areas. And it was about this time of year. It was 26 degrees below zero that day. And here's this guy from down south. Now, we fully geared him up. He had every snowmobile gear that you could imagine. And when we started that out, I remember seeing his eyes were about as big as saucers because he's thinking, what am I doing here? And got that helmet on him, everything. Yeah. Ended up by the end of the day, without going into too much, told me he had one of the best days of his life. Those are the experiences that you'll have.
We're going to have some fun stories here. We're going to talk about ice climbing. We're going to talk about the Sunrise Coast. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. If you love Michigan, if you're thinking about doing and coming to Michigan and traveling here and seeing all these different sites, this is the man, Dr. Dave Lorenz, the travel master, calling this one ReFirement for Dave because he is retired from the state of Michigan. This is the Tom Mann Show. Beautiful.
I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what she's thinking. She's just like, oh, I'm going to the store. Okay. All right.
No worries, man. Don't worry
No, she
about
just
it.
wanted to make sure, with the weather and everything, I was just telling her earlier, don't go out. So I think she was just saying, I'm going out anyway, because it's the way it is.
Yeah. Well, we're still getting some over here too, and so we're good
Oh,
90 miles away from you, getting the
oh,
lake.
it's the whiteout conditions that are dangerous today here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The
So and in the
big
other
fluffy. Well, but you know what? It just so it's still snowing. It's been snowing for days, but it's not the big fluffy stuff right now.
All right, here we go, Dave. I got
Hmm?
to read here. I got to read on the next two segments, and then we'll
Yeah.
just
Yep.
roll on.
Just
Here we go.
roll.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. However, you're picking us up on the radio broadcast, on the streams, on the radio stations, on the podcast, however, whenever, whatever, watching the YouTube stuff. YouTube stuff's doing really, really well, actually. And we just hit 1.6 million eyeballs on our YouTube channel. It hasn't even been up that long. I mean, like year and a half or so. So for me, that's kind of a big deal. Thanks to Craig Stiles, our sponsor for this segment, Ameriprise Financial, our guy, hopefully your guy. He can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future. Craig Stiles is the man. He's our guy. With the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant. Be brilliant. Call Craig 1-800-528-1355. Local number 517-483-4893. His offices are located at 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. His email is craig.stiles@ampf.com. You can really easily hit Craig or Brock, our other sponsor, other segment sponsor, by going to our website, tommattshow.com. Go to the bottom of the homepage and just click on the banners that are there, and it'll take you right there. Here are stations that have carried us in the past, still do, some don't. That's okay. I like to be grateful to all the stations, especially WGHN, even though they don't carry us anymore. They did for the longest time. Maybe someday they'll pick us back up. Thanks to Will, Team, and Wendy Hart, 92.1 in Grand Haven. But they were the first to ever put us on broadcast radio, and that was a big deal. WJIM 1240 AM in Lansing is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, where we're broadcast all over that network. WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall, WIPV FM 94.5 in Mackinac City up north, and of course, out at Michigan State University, AM 870 News Talk, WKAR, and simulcast at 102.3 FM on Sundays at 5. Check us out there, or get those streams, or get the podcast. Remember, Craig Stiles created Decideri Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. That's his proprietary algorithm. Take advantage of that. Get a hold of Craig. And last, I want to say thank you to Steve and Ivy Gruber, the owners of the Michigan Talk Network, for carrying us on the syndication. All right, back to our show today with my buddy, Dr. Dave Lorenz. ReFirement for Dave. What does ReFirement mean? ReFirement is a choice between retirement and refirement. You can retire, which is fantastic. Good for you. You want to retire? Fan. You want to refire, which I know Dave's already doing. We already started talking about it. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? This guy's going to have some tips for us where we want to try to travel to in Michigan, because he knows everything about traveling in Michigan. I just asked him about Pictured Rocks. You don't want to just touch back on that just one for a second, Dave. Pictured Rocks, for people that don't know Michigan, where is Pictured Rocks actually located? I mean, how would people find it on a map?
Yeah, so if you're most of your listeners will be in the Lower Peninsula, and of course most of our population is as well. So just take that that drive up north, however you want to get there. Get to the tip of the Mitt, the Mackinac area, and once you cross that big beautiful bridge, the Mackinac Island area, of course, once you cross the Mackinac Bridge, make sure to take US 2 or keep on going on 75. You can go a couple of different ways, but eventually you go a little bit farther north to the Lake Superior shoreline and west toward Marquette. And before you get to Marquette, you get to that cute little town of Munising. What a great town. I love Munising. It's a great place. It's one of the more popular kayak places in the season, in spring, summer, and fall, because there are so many ways you can kayak Lake Superior. They have outfitters there that'll take you out, and it is Lake Superior. So I don't care what time of the year or what you do with that big lake. Don't do it alone. Do it with the experts, because she is a big, beautiful lady, but she can be mighty problematic at times. So just make sure you go out with the professionals when you do. And they have plenty of them, outfitters and such, in the Munising area to go out and enjoy. Either see those cliffs by the Pictured Rocks boat tours, or maybe look at the shipwrecks on another cruise. There's another boat you can take out and really fast, big group, fast jet ski type boat. And then, of course, you can do kayak trips of various ways. And of course, in this time of the year, snowmobiling is so popular in that area because there were all these trails, hundreds of miles of connected trails in the Upper Peninsula, groomed trails. So if you're a snowmobiler, you know how important that is. Snowmobiling is fun when you have a groomed trail and you can kind of take the ride comfortably. But when you're not, on a groomed trail, it's a long day. So that's what's great about the UP. Everything comes together, logistically in that way, but people ways as well. There's kind of a joke about Upers say, okay, you've seen the lake, now go home. I think that attitude, if it ever was real, and I think it was real for a lot of people, has changed. I think people know that vacationers are welcome, and maybe some of those people will want to stay and live there and be part of the story. And that's accepted today. At one time, it really wasn't. So it's a beautiful place. I know I've considered moving there, but I love where I am. So it's the way we are. But you might want to check that out as a place to live, work, and play because it's spectacular.
And that's coming from the doctor himself. Dr. Dave Lorenz is with us. If you just joining us, Dave Lorenz was with Travel Michigan for a long, long time. He's been on my radio show many times. He's very much a validator for our radio career, and I'm very, very grateful to him. ReFirement for Dave is going to mean just probably doing more, just not 80 hours a week. Next thing, we're going through some of his old shows that we had on here, and I'm doing the Hidden Gems of Michigan because that was the last one. You mentioned the Sunrise Coast and something fall. Oak. I can't even read my own writing, but you talked about the Sunrise Coast, and maybe you'll mention what this other note I have shorthand here. What is the Sunrise Coast and where is it?
Yeah, the Sunrise Coast, if you were to take your, let's say your right palm, palm of your right hand, you look at that, and then you see where your thumb sticks up. Of course, that's the Saginaw Bay area of Michigan, right? Between your thumb and your hand. As you go farther to the north, along your pointed finger, that shoreline there, that northeast part of the Lower Peninsula, is what we call the Sunrise Coast, and that's a beautiful area of the state, and not as well visited as other parts of the state. Certainly not as much as Northwest Michigan. So when you want to have that beauty of the North with some different types of amenities and accommodations than what you might find in that kind of more developed area of Northwest Lower Peninsula, Michigan, that's a place to go to because that area, that still has a lot of those old-timey like waterfront cabins that are part of resorts, all little teeny cabins all together and right on the water. So check that out. There are a bunch of other really cool features. There's a dinosaur park you can go through. There's some spectacular springs to explore, in the rock formations and rock pits in the Alpena area where you can see dinosaur bones. Spectacular. Check it out.
You got to check it out. ReFirement for Dave. Dave Lorenz is our guest today, taking us through to break, everybody, talking about all of the fun things that Dave has learned in his career working for Travel Michigan. Listening to Dave Lorenz talk is like story hour when you're a kid. I mean, it's just so fun and it's just so interesting. Stick around. We got a lot more coming at you. Again, Dr. Dave Lorenz is with us. ReFirement for Dave. This is the Tom Mann Show.
Did you notice I have my bike and my exercise gear all set up?
Yeah, I see that.
It's a good place to hang clothes.
You know what I picked up probably a couple of years ago now, which I never did before in the gym, is a rower. And I'm
hearing great things about that.
They're fantastic, and it's really good. I mean, I've been fighting my knee issues, which are getting better. I mean, just a lot of combination of things. But
how about your lower back?
My lower back's great because I do so much core work. I do a ton of core work with the BOSU. Matter of fact, I just saw an old friend of mine out at out on campus, and he said he was giving me some compliments. He says Tom's got the strongest core of anybody you want to see. Some of the stuff that I've learned how to do with like doing push-ups on a BOSU ball with my feet on a Swiss ball, that kind of stuff. Just all those stabilizers. I have a whole routine where I do my push-ups, then I do all my kind of ab work, but not crunches, and using weighted core work. And then I get on the BOSU and I do some more weighted core work. And so there's a variety of things. But my workouts now at the university, my part of my job now, Dave, I figured out is working out. I have to go to the gym in the morning to stay sharp. And so I'm in there for 2, 3 hours, 3 hours a lot, just really slow, just taking my time. I'm in no rush. I get in there early, get out, and then I can come home and do all my production work. So yeah, those are, we could talk about that. Anytime you want to get together, we can.
Well,
We can get us-
I need to get back to it. I've gotten out of it just because of, no time. And so and then I really hurt myself this fall during the last race I ran, mid-November. I ran myself right into the ground at the end.
Oh boy,
I tripped,
over you.
and it was just when we were sprinting at the very end, it's kind of an end. I tripped myself. And so I went to roll and I right shoulder first in. Lucky I didn't hit my head, but ripped my neck side, cracked a rib, messed up my elbow, my shoulder. I have never hurt myself that badly. So anyway, so I got to get back to it now that my shoulder's working mostly. Yeah.
Be careful with that. I'm a shoulder expert, dude. I'm telling you, and I am a shoulder
I got a
expert.
checkup coming next week, in fact.
Let's roll. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. I'm your host, Tom Matt. Our guest today is Dr. Dave Lorenz, ReFirement for Dave, talking Travel Michigan, talking all about all kinds of good vacation spots. This segment sponsored by Brock Fletcher at the selling team of Keller Williams Realty, where trust is their middle name. Call Brock, 517-853-6408 or 517-303-3262. You can go online to kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles like we did. The long story is I met Brock at the radio station years and years and years ago. He gave me some very, very, very good advice about Big House Holt, our big semi-McMansion out in Holt, and our forever home, which turned out to be not so forever, and said, the time's coming when you want to do this. And we did. And so he hit the number. He told me the number. We hit the number. And this was all during all those bad times. Then we got Mike Deadman to help us, who works with Brock as our buyer's agent for Little House Lansing. And boom. So between selling the house, buying a house, we have done a lot of work with the selling team of Keller Williams. We know them very, very well. We trust them implicitly, and you need to trust them as well. We've got about 20 episodes on our website. Reality of Real Estate. You got Financial Fitness with Craig. You can go listen to any of those if you want to get a kind of a snapshot, a taste for what they're doing. You can watch the videos. You can listen to the podcast, whatever you want to do. But they're there for you to kind of test drive our sponsors. And I really want to implore you to please, please, please support our sponsors, because without them, we can't do this. And so it's very important for us to share the love. All right. I'm going to share some love with my buddy, Dave Lorenz, Dr. Dave, ReFirement for Dave. Dave's been with me for a long time. As I've said a couple of times during the show now, he completely validated what we were doing by coming on the show when he didn't know me from Adam, and I was still a green wannabe. And he was a pro, been on radio for forever on WGRA. You've heard his voice all over the place. Going through some of our old shows, just talking about this. I got one here, The Revelation of Life Through Travel. Now, when I came up with a title like that, Dave, what do you think we were thinking when the direction we went with the revolution of life through travel? What sparks you when you hear that?
Yeah, I'm guessing we were talking about how travel can truly change your life and help you to understand more about life in other people's lives. That's the thing about travel. We have so many problems in this world today. I don't know what it is about human beings. We tend to seek out confrontation, I think, and we don't attempt to try to get to understand each other. We hear people, but don't really listen to what they're saying, and that breeds contempt and distrust and all these challenges. And this is, of course, the story of humankind forever. We can talk about peace initiatives in a variety of ways, and the ones that have worked over the years, the ones that haven't, through governments, et cetera. But when you look at over the term of humankind, the one thing that has brought people together is literally bringing people together, bringing people from places far and wide, and demonstrating to each other that we don't have to be enemies. We don't have to disagree. And even if we disagree, we don't have to be disagreeable. Travel gets us to better understand each other. It's that simple. When you go to a place, you're going to better understand that perspective of someone once you're sitting right next to them, not necessarily in their shoes, but next to their shoes, and maybe better understanding their perspective on life. I wish the people who are anti-Israeli and the people who are anti-Muslim and anti-Christian and whatever could find ways to go to places where they can find people they think they disagree without knowing their religion, for instance. And I bet we would have a lot of this solved. Travel changes us simply by getting around. And the same thing can happen in our own state. Because when you go to a place that you've thought of as being junky because you think those people don't care or don't work or, whatever it is, once you're there, I'm guarantee you, you're gonna realize they're the same as you and me. So travel is an opportunity to change not only our perspectives on one another, but to change life itself.
During that episode, Dave, we had two key points here. There was actually three. Planning the vacation was big, but wellness travel and eco travel. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like those two topics, I'd like to just kind of pick your brain on that. What did that mean to you now that you're refired? The wellness travel, maybe that's going to become a bigger part of your life and your wife's life. What about it?
Yeah, it is becoming a bigger part because I know I have time for wellness, my own personal wellness and my family wellness as well. For a lot of people, a vacation to them is finding a beautiful beach, and you can find them all over Michigan, and sitting on there and just enjoying the beautiful day and such. That's great. There's a lot to say about wellness and that relaxation and just soaking it all in. But for somebody like me, and I know somebody like you, Tom, we need to get out there and really participate in things. Sorry,
We had, the one,
little-
remember you told me about the ice climbing. Would you consider that part of wellness traveling?
absolutely. When you're out there, getting exercise and mixing up with other people and challenging yourself to new things, that is part of wellness.
Absolutely. I mean, what did you mean by eco travel? Eco travel, economic travel, eco
No,
travel. You
like
remember?
ecology. A lot of people today, and I think this is a great thing. Younger people they're looking for ways not to harm the environment. So eco travel, environmental, travel, we want to call it. They want to make sure that their presence there isn't actually making that place something other than what it is. We have a problem with a lot of national parks because people from around the world don't want to travel as Americans like to believe we want to travel, and they accidentally damage things. I was at the Grand Canyon one time and saw a busload of, I hate to say it, Chinese folks come off the bus, and they were so excited, and they just trampled everything because they went off the trail, things like that. So we need to train people to make sure to travel more sensitively as well. But a lot of times you can find these places where you can really enjoy nature without harming nature. We have countless places like that in Michigan because we provided opportunities for you to get out there safely without damaging the environment.
It's really well set up. Our guest today, everybody, is Dr. Dave Lorenz, ReFirement for Dave. If you heard Dave's voice, many years talking about travel in Michigan. You know, the next one I have, Dave, we're going to come up on break here, so I'll set this up just so you know where we're going to go here. We got higher performance. I mean, there's a cultural shift going on, and you just mentioned it about the younger folks who are more respectful of the ecological aspects of getting out in the world. Cultural shift. Give me 30 seconds on cultural shift with travel.
There are a lot of different ways that people are traveling today. Today, it used to be just, it would be parents, kids. And then as society changes, a lot of single parent households and everything, mom with kids, maybe, and maybe dad, weekends, all that stuff. It's a good thing, I believe, to see us kind of going back to old Europe type of travel or old Asia type of travel, where you're seeing multiple generations traveling together, grandparents, maybe those kids' parents and the kids. Maybe it's just grandparents and the grandkids. People are finding a variety of ways to travel together. And by doing that, they're sharing things that would not have otherwise be shared. It's a great thing.
And that's the whole thing. And I'm going to take this through to break, everybody. Dr. Dave Lorenz is here, ReFirement for Dave. The whole thing is the cultural shift to spending time together, creating memories, all of these things. We talked about these things many times, and we got to continue to do this because we need our young people to be developing their interpersonal skills. No better way of doing it than by traveling with your family, multi-generational. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show.
Oh, all that time I had to cough. I'm sorry.
To cover for you on that cough thing, I saw it coming. It's like,
Yeah, I'm mostly over this thing, but it's still, there.
Do you have any plug you want to plug? Your email, speaking?
Just that, if you don't mind, still doing the radio show Sundays at 4 and JR.
Plug it away. I'm going to throw it to you right here so you can see you got it.
Yeah.
I want to give you a heads up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for listening today, joining us wherever and however you are doing this on our radio program, podcast stream, video, excerpt, clips, however, wherever. We're all over the place. Remember, the Tom Matt Show can be found at tommattshow.com. Imagine that. There's everything you could ever imagine, and it's very simple to navigate. Very simple. tommattshow.com. Please go to the bottom of the homepage, click on through, and talk to some of our sponsors because these guys are the bomb, and they are very trustworthy. Dr. Dave Lorenz is with us. ReFirement for Dave. Travel Michigan kingpin, still doing radio, still doing lots of things. Dave, how would you like people to connect with you? You're going to be busier once you get all situated and healed up and healthy. You're going to be busier than you could ever imagine, and I think you know that because that's the way it goes. How would you like people to connect with you?
I am still doing the radio show with WJR, the Michigan Travel Show. Airs Sundays at 4:00, and it's on podcast, so you can find the Michigan Travel Show wherever you find your favorite Tom Matt podcast out there. And of course, the show is on a network as well. So I think we actually share some radio stations that we broadcast on. So that's fun. But, weekdays, I am now consulting for a firm called MMGY Next Factor. And that's my real part-time gig. So what I get to do there is I get to help communities all around the country and actually around the world understand how to make their communities more livable, more visitable, in a way that Pure Michigan was successful. And it's been really rewarding. And the best thing about it, I'm not working Monday through Monday. So it's a consulting job. So I work a certain number of hours a week and really am enjoying that. And everybody wants to know about the Pure Michigan story and how they can do that. All places around the world. That's how successful Pure Michigan has been. And now under Kelly Wolgamott's leadership, it continues to move forward. So I'm thrilled about it. If you do want to contact me, just send me an email. You can actually just send an email to WJR. The lineup is there on WJR.com. and you can always find me there.
Beautiful. How many states that you're aware of copied the Pure Michigan model because it was so successful? And that's how it works. I mean, people get something, it's popular, it's successful, and you just replicate the model and just continue to make it better. How many states do you think have copied what you guys set up over there?
It's hard to tell because, everybody's always looking at who's ever best in class, and then you try to, copy what you feel can work for your situation, and then, adjust and such. And so we were always adjusting. The office is still adjusting over at Travel Michigan. They're constantly trying to find better and bigger ways and more efficient ways to get across the message that Michigan is this tremendous state to travel to, not only to travel to, but to live in and to work in. So, that message is always evolving. But other states do look at the Pure Michigan messaging style to try to learn, other states, other provinces, and they're trying to find their way to get across that. But the thing is, there's only one Pure Michigan. There will always be only one Pure Michigan. So one of the reasons the message works is that it tells the truth. That this is a spectacular place 4 seasons out of the year. And yeah, we get a lot of snow, and let's hope some winter times. It gets cold in winter. Yeah. And some people like me love that. But there's spring and there's summer and there's fall for other people who do not necessarily love the winter time. There's something for everybody. And that's the great thing. And everyone's invited. Anybody with a good spirit, good heart, you are invited here.
Talk about some of those fun things you have over there. I know you have that toboggan run and all those fun things on the west side of the state. Give us some of the fun things on the west side, and then we'll go over to the east side and see what the fun things are over there, because that's the thing about Michigan, Dave. There's such a variety, as you're saying. So now we're currently in the winter mode, but talk about that fun stuff that we can do with the kids, that multicultural, multi-generational fun things. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, I think you're talking about the Muskegon. It used to be Muskegon Winter Sports Complex, but I think they call it the Muskegon Adventure Park now because, yeah, they have the luge, which is incredible. But they also have a luge which is on wheels. So in the non-winter months, you can still learn how to luge, and it's really great. Great ice skating areas and hockey playing areas. They have a zip line there. It's just a spectacular place. I just love it over at Muskegon State Park. It's really a must for people who love winter experiences. So that's a cool thing for outdoor enthusiasts. Just enjoying being on any of our Great Lakes at wintertime without walking out onto the icebergs, please. Stay on the shoreline. Don't do that. It's so dangerous. Every year we lose people who think, oh, it looks so solid, I'm going to walk out there. And then you slip between there and slide down 30 feet into the waters, and you'll never come back until spring. So just please be careful. But it's beautiful, whether you're on the beach, whether you're taking it in from one of the city skylines or whatever. Beautiful thing to do. I just love it. We typically talk about the outdoor things, like our many ski areas to go to, and I love that myself. But I think people should also think about the many indoor experiences that you can enjoy at this time of the year or any time of the year. We have spectacular museums. I mean, spectacular art museums, history museums. They're all over. Some of the best in the country. The Detroit Institute of Arts. Of course, Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn. Closer to that west side area we were just talking about, in Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is about the perfect big city you can experience because it's not too big, but it's big enough to have all these great amenities. It's getting better every year. They're working again on the riverfront, and when they're done, people won't believe that was Grand Rapids before, because they're going to see this unbelievable new Grand Rapids. We just have so much, Tom. It just goes on and on.
What about Saugatuck? You're over there on the west side. You've got Oval Beach and all of that. For the people that haven't been to that very eclectic area, very artsy, very, very, very quaint. What about Saugatuck?
Yeah, Saugatuck, Douglas, beautiful area. And not many people go in the wintertime. So when you're there, It's a lot quieter than it is, not as many stores open, and the little storefronts that you might think of in Douglas, for instance. There aren't as many of them open during the wintertime, but there's certainly few, and you will enjoy just being there because it's beautiful. Little coffee shops, things like that. Really, really stunning. The waterfront itself is spectacular. I'm actually wearing a Clementine's shirt right now from South Haven, right near that Saugatuck area. Uh, the just basically all these little beach towns on the Lake Michigan shoreline. They're just spectacular. New Buffalo, St. Joe, South Haven, Saugatuck, Douglas, Holland. I shouldn't have started because I'm not going to get them all. Muskegon, Whitehall, keep on going up, Silver Lake, and I better stop. Frankfurt, Ludington, all of them. They are spectacular. And of course, I haven't even mentioned Traverse City or Petoskey region. Of course, beautiful areas in that Gold Coast region. Spectacular places. And that's only one relatively small part of the state of Michigan. I say this all the time, but I mean it with all my heart. We have something for everyone. Even saltwater and sharks, if you want to go to Great Lakes Mall over there, north of Detroit, because they have a sea life exhibit, so you can see that as well. There's something for everybody here. There really is.
There is something for everybody. I'm going to carry this through, Dave, because we're going to come up on break here. We're talking about a lot of different things. When we come back, because Dr. Dave, the travel king, the man, ReFirement for Dave, we're calling this one. I want to hit Dave on a little bit more west coast of Michigan, talking about Harbor Springs and all of those fun places up by Petoskey. Because Harbor Springs, if you haven't been to Harbor Springs, when the first time I ever went to Harbor Springs, everybody, and Dave, you can chime in on this because I got 30 seconds to go here. It reminded me of California. I mean, it really,
yeah, some of the small little beautiful little towns, Carmel or whatever, it does remind you of that. Sort of, we don't have all the issues and challenges that they have either, and fresh water. So there you go. Beautiful, high-end type experiences, great restaurants, great shopping, spectacular.
It's amazing, and it's just one of the many spaces that we can go to in this state. Got one more segment to go with Dr. Dave Lorenz. ReFirement for Dave. Stick around because we're going to talk a little bit more about the East Coast and the bigger cities and try to jam in some festivals and what's happening with fun things. Again, Dr. Dave Lorenz is here. ReFirement for Dave. This is the Tom Matt Show.
It's all right.
All
Send
right.
a note right now.
One more to go here. Here we go.
Let me just get right
Hey, everybody.
here.
Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for listening, joining us, watching the video, listening to the radio show, listening to the podcast. Segment 5 is always fun and games. Today, Dr. Dave Lorenz is with me. ReFirement for Dave. Dave's been with me 25 times previously to this episode as the boss at Travel Michigan. He's the man. He was the guy who went through the budget cuts, went through making money, went through losing money, all kinds of different things. He saw it all, everything, and developed one of the finest programs in the country. And we talked about that. Pure Michigan is just like, it's the gold standard of marketing for travel. Dave, let's talk. We have kind of ignored a little bit, and I kind of did this on purpose, the big cities, the Detroits, the Flints, the East Coast of Michigan. There are a lot of fun things. When people hear of Detroit, they immediately get this, oh, Rust Belt, this and that. When I watch the Lions and the Tigers and you get these national broadcasts and they show aerial photos, the shots of Ford Field and Comerica Park, the baseball field, I am so proud to see it. And now they're going to redo the Riverfront down there. Let's give Detroit some love and things that happen down there with festivals and good fun things to do and all the restaurants. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, I was at Travel Michigan for 21 and a quarter years exactly. And I can tell you the change that we saw over that time period, which is now 22 plus years ago, is unlike any other city I've ever seen in my life. probably more so than any other city we'll see ever again, at least in our state, because of this real need to make improvements and real desire. And so many people coming together. It was a magical time for us, and it's still happening today. And I'm like with you, Tom. I was watching the Lions on that last game of the season, well, the playoff season at least, the championship season, that the game that they lost. Um, and as they went to the overhead shots of Detroit, looking down on that city, just thinking about how far Detroit has come. And I think we're getting beyond the point where we used to always start out every conversation was with like, well, Detroit's not perfect, but. And today, I just want to say, when I'm starting a conversation is, yeah, Detroit is as cool as you think. That's kind of how it's changed. Even the conversation has changed because, excuse me, to your point, the sports facilities and the teams that are playing those games, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and so much more that's happening there today. Spectacular. And the teams are committed to make a difference, to be champions again. And you just feel like you're part of it. You want to be part of it. That's a cool thing. But the facilities are spectacular. If you're into the arts like I am, the multiple options for you, including, of course, the world-renowned Detroit Institute of Arts. If you're into food, talk about a change. Detroit's become a food mecca in a foodie place for people who really like fine dining. But for somebody like me who just likes really good food, whether it's good for you or not, every so often, everything in moderation, you're going to find it there. And you're going to find some of the best of the worst for you. But again, not everyday food. You're going to have it every day. Best hot dogs, best pizza, best fried fish, whatever it is, you're going to find it there. It's spectacular. Tom, you mentioned the waterfront. They've been working on the waterfront for all these years. I think 3 years in a row, it's been the #1 waterfront in America from USA Today readers. There's a reason for that. It's a spectacular walk. The views, the way that they transformed a former industrial waterfront into this spectacular place that everybody wants to visit and enjoy. Milliken Park is part of that. Here you are in the big city, and all of a sudden you're walking just a short distance away from the Renaissance Center, and you find yourself in the middle of a wilderness of wildflowers, and you're thinking, how did this happen? And then you're walking through it and you're seeing all this beauty in nature and butterflies, and then you see this neat, merry-go-round and bicycle rental place, and it just goes on and on. Amphitheater, and it's a spectacular place. I love Detroit inside and out. I didn't even mention places like the Henry Ford Museum again, not too far away from downtown Detroit. Detroit is one of the biggest cities in America by landmass, and that landmass has been slowly getting healthier and healthier and healthier and stretching out like a light. As you pull a flashlight away from the wall, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and everybody's sharing in that light. It's a great thing to see.
Hearing you talk about the pride of this state and all of the resources that we have here, Dave, is just wonderful. I mean, there's just so many things. When you traveled to Germany, what were some of the things? Because I know you traveled internationally a lot. I just picked Germany for one because I know for sure you were there. What did what did the international people, what did they want to know about Michigan that we take for granted?
They wanted to experience a combination of the city and the outdoors, kind of the freedom of being in a wilderness environment that's really safe and still close to communities. There's a country like Germany is relatively small for the population that they have. And yeah, they have don't get me wrong, they have a lot of beautiful natural areas, but not like we do, not areas that are not managed at all, big national forests and things like that. There's not a lot of that left. compared to, per capita at least. They wanted to also experience the fun in nature that we get to enjoy that's still relatively safe. Things like kayaking and going fishing and things like that. That's a really unique experience for many Germans, many Europeans. Meanwhile, they've heard the stories of Motown. They've heard the stories of the sports legends that have come out of Detroit. So Detroit is very much on their mind in a very positive way. And I think much more positive than the average American, in fact, in the past and even today, even as most Americans now are understanding the real story, the real truth about a really cool city. And they want to see what's happening in the rest of the state, because getting to know the real American, the real Michigander is a real important thing to them. And they're just so filled with joy by the friendly nature of Michiganders and Americans in general. It's not something that they're used to. I love Germans, don't get me wrong, but they're pretty stoic and they don't generally go out of their way to talk to people if they don't know them. So at first it's a bit of a shock, and then they just love that. They feel great joy, I think, when people just walk up to them and say, I hear you have an accent. Where are you from? It's not something you generally do in Germany, so they love that.
It's amazing to hear that Michigan is so well known and Detroit is so well known. When you talk about Motown, what does that bring up in your soul? What do you feel when you talk to people about Motown? What do they typically want to hear? Is it the music? Is it the people? What are you typically hearing, Dave?
They know more about Motown than most Americans internationally. So in my case, whether I'm talking internationally or domestically about Motown, I think about heritage, the heritage of a place that literally created its own genre of music, engendered from the beat of the city, the beat of manufacturing, of people who, hardworking people who put in the time and work together in rhythm. And that all came together, that sound of the manufacturing sound of manufacturing and building cars and creating things. And that all transferred into the sound of music because of Berry Gordy and Smokey and so many others over the years. So when you go to Motown Hitsville, USA, and you go through their tour, you get to learn all about that. And I think that's where most Americans might learn for the first time that Motown is really important, more so than most people will know, because we kind of are forgetting the impact on social issues, on civil rights. We're forgetting that because I think it's a good thing almost that we're forgetting it, because I think it's, for most of us, it's an old story. There'll always be racism in all directions to some degree, but it's not what it used to be. And a reason that it's not like it used to be is Motown, Hitsville, USA, and the city of Detroit. That's just one of the reasons I love it. I just love the sound myself.
Well, the sound is just, it was a cultural shift of magnitude that we'll never understand. I mean, it's just it's massive. Dave, you got a 30-second takeaway for me?
About anything in particular?
Just in general of our conversation today, encouraging people to think about coming to Michigan, staying in Michigan, traveling in Michigan, any of that.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm in a new role here, being a former travel champion for the state of Michigan, paid for by the state of Michigan to do that, as you can tell, I haven't stopped, because it was always authentic. It was always real. It was always the truth. Always has been, always will be. I'm not paid a penny by anybody to say that. It's just the story. And when you get out there, you'll understand why it's so important. So get out and travel. Doesn't matter what time of the year, meet people. It'll change your life. It's that special.
Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Get out and travel by loving yourself. Thanks to my friend, Dr. Dave Lorenz, Sandy, Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And I want to say, lastly, thank you To our production staff, Mitch Anderson and Vanessa, thank you guys so much for what you're doing. We are out. Dr. Dave Lorenz is not really a doctor. I just like calling him that because I'm a goofball. But it's like, again, the validation of having a guy like Dave Lorenz who believed in us and me when we were just, we didn't even know what we were doing. I mean, sometimes I wonder if I know what I'm doing now, but back then it was even worse. It was just one of those things. But Dave helped coach me, and he was just very, very kind. And that's the thing about kindness. Help other people get better, because you know what? It makes your soul intrinsically better. I have learned that. And so keep having a purpose and a passion. That's all there is to it. Until next time, everybody, I'm Papa Tom. You've been listening and watching the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for doing what you do. Please subscribe. Join the bandwagon of people that are subscribing to our YouTube channel, because it's popping, baby. It's popping. And there's a lot of fun things over there. It's a nice variety of different things. So until next time, thank you all very much. Peace out. Love y'all. Have a great day.